You gotta change that shit, man.
Yeah, but you don't understand my life, David.
Yeah, I do. So that's the thing about it. I get that mentality. I once had that mentality, that no one understands what the I'm going through. And if you keep that mentality, you're gonna stay in the same exact spot that you're in. You're never alone. Everybody's going through So when people get this mentality of like, you don't understand me, you can throw a rock to someone that can understand you if they're willing to break themselves down and stop hiding. A lot of people understand you.
David Goggins, a man like no other built off the back of rigorous training and constant suffering, preaches that the key to finding peace is pain. But make no mistake, his advice is not for the average mind.
What would your advice be to that 16-year-old kid who's staring in the mirror, does not like what he sees?
First of all, he won't like what I say to him, because I'm gonna say the exact opposite of what the world, today's world, is saying. The only way you're ever going to get to the other side of this journey is you have got to suffer to grow. To grow, you must suffer. And some people will get it and some people won't. But they have to see what their journey is to start their journey. Several people live to be 100 years old and they have great lives and they have great kids. Their kids go to college and all sorts of stuff. But somewhere in their life, there was a point where they had a decision to make. They can go left or right on this path. Left was the easy route. Right was the hard route. A lot of people take the easy route. And they had a good life that way, but the better life was going to the right side.
David Goggins has completed several ultramarathons, broken the pull-up world record, and served as a Navy SEAL. Many believe that one would have to possess incredibly gifted genetics and be raised in a privileged environment to reach such heights, but that could be any further from the truth. Goggins grew up in a poor, abusive home surrounded by racism.
For me to become the man I wanted to become, I saw myself as the weakest person God ever created, but I never blamed God for anything he did to me. So I wanted to change that to be the hardest man ever created. Am I that? I don't know, but you had to have a goal. And my goal when I was sitting there, not going to school, being bullied, having no self-esteem, my goal was the only person that's gonna turn this person around is me. The only way I can turn it around is put myself through the worst things possible a human being can ever endure. And that'd be the only way that I can build this brain to handle anything that comes in front of it, callousing my mind through pain and suffering.
Part of the reason David is so controversial is because of his take on suffering. He sees pain as a core aspect of life, and life's journey of suffering is a beautiful thing. Goggins says that part of the reason he is such a happy person today is because of how he can reflect on all the hardship he's endured in the past.
So what's your excuse? Is it too cold where you live? Is it too hot where you live? Does it rain too much? Maybe you're the only black person applying for a job. Maybe you're the only female. Maybe you're the only gay person. Job, whatever the may be. Maybe that shit's in your head. Maybe that's your excuse for not being better. Life's a real big picture. When I was young, all those things got in my head. Black, not smart enough, single mom, all that bullshit on space in my head. If you're allowing people and things and situations to own space in your head, you're losing. Last thing, life's one big head game. You play with yourself. If you lose, it's because you allow life to get in your head. Stay hard.
A human being is not so human anymore. We have the ability to go in such a space if you're willing to suffer, and I mean suffer. Your brain and your body, once connected together, can do anything. And this 30 miles was the life-changing moment. I was out of it. I was in the worst pain in my entire life. I was, to me, on the brink of death. And I was able to chunk this 30 damn miles into small pieces. I was so driven, and I'm not gonna say motivated because motivation's crap. Motivation comes and goes. When you're driven, whatever's in front of you will get destroyed.
David's core message is that no matter what your circumstances are, you too can be great. It just takes hard work and discipline, both of which anyone can harness deep within.
I have a way of going to a place like I did in that race, where all the pain and suffering that they put on top of me in Hell Week, I will reverse that pain and suffering, and I will take your soul. So every instructor that put me through Buzz, my job, what drove me, was I wanted you to go home that night after you beat the living shit out of me, and I smiled in your face. I wanted you to feel worse than I did, and you were going home to a nice warm bed with your wife or your kids and a nice meal, and I was still out there in the grip, suffering for another 100 hours. I want you to think about me knowing that I'm comfortable being very uncomfortable. And I want you to think about when you went through Hell Week, how uncomfortable you were and how bad you wanted to quit, knowing I'm not thinking that far.